Now, in the last lesson, we saw how we were able to get hold of documents by calling this getDocuments method, which has a closure, which will get triggered once we've actually managed to get hold of all the documents from a particular collection from the Firebase database. But at the moment though, this getDocuments is very manual. You have to call it every single time if you want to get hold of the latest documents that have been added to the collection. If we take a look back at the Firebase guides and we take a look at Cloud Firestore, you can see that under the Read Data section, there's something called Listen for Real-Time Updates. And what this allows us to do is to add a snapshot listener so that whenever new documents are added to a particular collection, we get our code to be triggered again. So if you wanted to get data just once, then you would use the getDocument method. But as we have a messaging app, it would be great if every time a new message gets added to our database, then we simply just trigger this block all over again so that we can add the messages to our messages array. To do this, instead of calling getDocuments, we're going to change it to add snapshot listener. So we're going to write add snapshot listener, and the rest of the code we're going to keep exactly the same. So now if we run our app again and we log in and I write a new message and hit send, then you'll see that it reloads our table view and adds that new message into our table view. But it does a little bit more than that. It actually doesn't clear out the previous items inside the messages array. So how can we fix this behavior? And I want to pose this as a challenge to you. Can you modify the code inside the load messages function so that when a new message is added, there are no duplicate messages being displayed inside the table view? I'll give you a few seconds to pause the video before I show you the solution. Ready? Here's the solution. We know that the add snapshot listener is going to listen for changes in this collection. Whenever a new item is added, it's going to trigger all the code inside this closure. So instead of having our messages array being emptied right at the top, we're going to empty it inside our closure like this. So this way, whenever a new item is added to our collection, we empty out our messages array and add the fresh messages into it from scratch. And of course, in order to tap into our messages property inside the closure, we have to insert the self keyword and a dot in front. Now let's run our app and see what happens. Let's go ahead and add a new message, which I'll just put as 123456, tell the world my password, and hit send. And you can see that it now gets added in without having all of the previous messages being added alongside. And that's the solution to the challenge. Adding a new message now no longer results in duplicates being added to our table view. But you'll notice that the order is a bit weird, right? Why did it go in the middle instead of what we would expect, which is at the very bottom? Well, the reason is because if we take a look at our database, you can see we've got all of these messages in here, and you can see that they're ordered in this collection by their IDs. But the IDs are generated pretty much automatically by Firebase. So we have really no control over this ID. But it's through the use of these IDs that our messages are getting sorted in our database. So for example, we're starting with numbers, so 2 is less than 8, and then we go to the alphabet, and B is before N. What we would like though is for this to be ordered in terms of the timestamp that it was sent. So how can we do that? I'll give you a moment to have a think about it, and I'll see you on the next lesson where we'll walk through it together.